Hello, my name is Dale Wilhite. I live in Mountain Village, Colorado. This is a video about something that's happening all across America, dealing with motels and hotels, and any place that rents out for the night, a bed and breakfast, something like that. Let me give you a quick story about what just happened less than a month ago on my way to Florida. I decided to take a vacation, go back to Florida. Uh, Decided I'd fly out of Grand Junction to Pensacola, Florida. So I left the day before my flight was due, and decided to stay out at a motel near the airport. Well, coming off the interstate, I see Quality Inn. Well, that looks pretty close, pretty nice. I'll stay there. I go in, and to my surprise, uh, as I'm trying to register, lady asks me, gives me a little list, and she says, and asks me, have you stayed at any of those motels, hotels down there below? I said, well, I've stayed at all of them. None of them were high class. These were like Comfort Inn and Days Inn and things like that. And then she said, I'd like to have your credit card. And I said, well, I don't have a credit card with me right now. I have a debit card. Well, you can't stay here then. And my only reaction was, well, you're fixing to lose some business, you know. I can understand the credit card part, but what I don't understand is the fact that these motels and hotels are not warning their potential guests about this beforehand. What I'm trying to say is that all across America there are people that go to a motel, hotel, who don't have credit cards, who are being denied the right to spend the night there. And of course, the reason why they want those credit cards is due to the fact that sometimes a guest will damage something and take off, and they can't really. It's kind of hard to get them, hunt them down, let's say, even though you have the driver license number, and be compensated for that damage. So of course they come up with the idea, well, we'll just charge it to their credit card. Well, the only problem with charging a person's credit card is that the motel or hotel or whoever, they can do so without any proof that you've done any damage, especially if you're way across the country. After hours later, they can wait a few days, and if they believe or know you're going to be thousands of miles away, they can charge $20, $30, charge it to your credit card, even though you may not have engaged in any damage or done any damage, or if there was damage, it wasn't, you didn't do it. So I can understand the credit part, but what needs to be done is that there needs to be some legislation passed that requires all hotels and motels to place on their website, if they have one, most do, whether or not a person can stay there if they do not have a credit card. If they do not have a credit card, then they need to clearly state that if you do not have a credit card, you cannot stay here. We are not going to rent you out a room. If they do not have websites, then they should put this in their advertisement, or they should put it on the front door of their motels or hotels, so that people coming in looking for a room can see it right before they come in the door. That would be very helpful to a lot of people, and save them, from going in there and having to stand around in a line somewhere only to find out that, they're not going to be given a room. The other problem with that, with these credit cards, with what Quality Inn was doing, is the fact that they were asking me about all the places I've stayed at before in the past. And I've stayed at a lot of hotels and motels all my life. I've traveled so much. That is kind of like profiling. Now, I am for certain kinds of profiling when it's, appropriate. But this kind of profiling is an economic profile. This is where they're profiling to find out if you're a poor person, middle class, or upper class. Or sometimes by the way you dress, with big Rolex on your arm, whatever, big car outside, whatever, they can sometimes tell right off. Or if you're representing a business or something. But what Quality Inn is doing is profiling. At least the one in Grand Junction is. They're snooping to find out where you've stayed before. Even though you can lie about it, but that's what they're doing. And that should be illegal. Again, I am for a certain kind of profiling. But this kind of profiling is an economic profile. And that's almost like racial profiling. That's like saying if a black person comes in, well, we don't want any black people here, so, oh, you can't stay here because you're black. Well, what Quality Inn seems to be doing, and again, I'm not saying they are, but there's a possibility, is that they're economically profiling against people saying, well, this person doesn't quite fit our upper class standards, so we don't want them here. So we're not going to rent to them, especially if they stayed at Motel 6 or Comfort Inn or Days Inn or whatever. We don't want to do that. Well, as far as I know, that's illegal. Just like racial profiling, denying a person of color the right to stay at a place because of their color is illegal. So Quality Inn needs to be taken to court over this. And they need to do some explaining why they're asking people where they've stayed at before. I only know of Quality Inn doing it in Grand Junction by the airport. I don't know of any other place, but I have a feeling they're probably doing it all over the country. And if they can get away with it, then other hotels and motels are going to begin to do the very same thing. And this is class warfare, again. They are engaging in class warfare. I'm in the middle class. But whether I'm poor or middle class or upper class, it's none of their business. Wherever I've stayed at in my past, it's none of their business. It doesn't concern them. And that's where the problem lies. So what I'm trying to do is encourage people to contact their representatives, their mayors, their county commissioners, their city commissioners, town council, and advise them of what's going on here, and that they need to make sure that no hotel, motel in their town does any profiling. And if they're going to require a credit card, then they need to put it on the website and clearly state you must have a credit card. Now, here's something else that should be required by law, and this is very important. Let me start out this way. When you rent out an apartment, usually it's common for the manager or owner sometimes to give you a checklist to mark down any damage that you find there. You go down that checklist and you sign it and state where you found damage and where you did not. Well, here's the problem again with the credit cards. They can falsely claim that you damaged something and just charge it to your card, and you may be clear across the country and you have no way of really challenging it. It's their word against yours. And it could be damage that had been prior before you moved in. I've done that, seen many things like that in my lifetime. So, by law, and this is something you need to pitch to your local representatives, and on the state level as well, all the way to the governor, is that by law, if they accept a credit card, or require a credit card, then by law, they must give you a checklist. And you can fill that checklist out when you go up to the room, just take a quick look, and list any damage that there is. You sign it and bring it back down, or they'll send some bellboy up there to get it later. This prevents them from falsely claiming that something was damaged after you leave. Because if you're 1,000 miles across the country, they can charge 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks, and more likely you're not going to really throw much of a fit about it because it'd be more expensive for you to do so and more time consuming. So that's something that needs to be challenged and needs to be stopped. Economically profiling should be illegal, especially any motel or hotel. It doesn't matter if you got money to stay there. You're considered a good guest. Whether you're poor, middle class, or rich is irrelevant. And if you do pay by credit card, then they should give you a checklist, or they should come up, the manager or somebody should come up and go through that room with you and check it and let them check it off, and then you sign it. That's the only way you can do this. Only way to stop it. Only way to keep people from getting ripped off. Anyway, this tape's about in about 40 seconds. I strongly urge you to contact your political representatives and see and tell them of what's going on and that they need to take action to put a stop to this. And again, it would be very, very helpful. I hope this has been informative. I have hundreds, not thousands, but hundreds more videos to make, and hope they're informative as well. Thank you for your time.